Breaking news: the United States is on the brink of a political explosion. Massive protests, attacks on high profile politicians, and federal agents killing peaceful citizens. Even Donald Trump is changing his tone. Today, we break down every detail of the chaos currently consuming the nation. The streets are filled with the echoes of a growing movement known as No Kings, and the tension is reaching a boiling point that hasn't been seen in decades. This isn't just a local disturbance, it is a nationwide awakening fueled by anger and a demand for accountability.
The No Kings movement didn't appear out of thin air. It grew from a deep-seated frustration with the status quo, rapidly evolving into a national force. From coastal cities to the heartland, the message is clear. The American people will no longer tolerate unchecked power. All eyes are now fixed on March 28th. Organizers are calling for what could be the largest coordinated protest action in modern American history. The infrastructure of this movement is decentralized but highly effective, spreading through the digital underground and manifesting in the streets with a singular, powerful slogan. In Minneapolis, the tension took a physical and frightening turn during a meeting with Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. An unidentified individual sprayed a mysterious chemical substance into the air, causing immediate panic. While Omar was reported to be physically unharmed, the psychological shock has reverberated throughout the halls of power in D.C. Police quickly apprehended a suspect, but the motive remained shrouded in mystery. Was this an isolated act of a lone individual, or a sign of a more coordinated effort to silence political figures? The country holds its breath as the investigation unfolds.
But the true spark that set this national fire was a deadly encounter with federal agents. Reports and leaked video evidence suggest that ICE and CBP agents killed a peaceful protester, a narrative that directly contradicts the official government claims. As the footage went viral, millions of Americans were pushed past their breaking point. The outrage is no longer silent. It is a roar. Even Donald Trump, known for his unwavering support of federal law enforcement, has been forced to shift his rhetoric, calling the events very sad and demanding a full investigation, a clear sign of the immense pressure from all sides of the political spectrum.
The tension reached a breaking point when grainy cell phone footage contradicted the official federal reports. While agencies claimed the use of force was a necessary response, the flickering frames of the leaked video told a far more haunting story. A peaceful protester silenced forever by federal agents. As the images spread like wildfire across the digital landscape, the public trust shattered. The silence of the administration was no longer an option, as the nation demanded accountability for a life taken in the shadows of authority. The weight of the uprising forced an unprecedented shift in rhetoric from the White House. For the first time, Donald Trump abandoned his usual defiance, describing the events as very sad and calling for a transparent investigation. This wasn't just a change in tone, it was a strategic retreat under the crushing pressure of a nation on fire. But for many, these words were too little too late, as the flames of the No Kings movement had already begun to lick at the foundations of the political establishment. The shockwaves moved from the streets to the very heart of the Republican Party. A visible schism emerged as prominent conservative voices began calling for the immediate dismissal of top officials within ICE and CBP. This internal civil war represents a perilous crossroads for the Trump campaign. With approval ratings beginning to hemorrhage and the shadow of the upcoming elections looming, the party finds itself trapped between loyalty to the old guard and the undeniable fury of an electorate that refuses to be ignored. We are witnessing a fracture not seen in generations. As the No Kings movement gathers momentum for the March 28th mobilization, the very foundations of the American political machine are trembling. Donald Trump, once an immovable force, now finds himself navigating a labyrinth of public fury and internal party betrayal. The grainy texture of today's reality captures a nation caught between its historic ideals and a volatile, uncertain future. The air is thick with the scent of change, and for the first time, the establishment seems to be losing its grip on the narrative. Within the halls of power, the Republican Party is no longer a monolith. The calls to purge leadership within ICE and federal agencies are now coming from inside the House. This isn't just a protest in the streets, it is a cold civil war within the political ranks. The cost of the recent federal violence is mounting, and the polls reflect a nation disillusioned. If the administration can
cannot quell the fire they helped ignite, the upcoming political landscape will be nothing but scorched earth. What does this mean for the 250th anniversary of the Republic? By 2026, we may look back at these specific weeks as the catalyst for a total systemic overhaul. The death of a citizen at the hands of federal agents has become a martyr's call that transcends party lines. This isn't just another protest season, it's a referendum on the American soul. The spirit of 1776 is being invoked, but this time, the target is the very system that was meant to protect the people.
History teaches us that when the state's official narrative is contradicted by the raw evidence of the camera, the status quo cannot hold. The No Kings ideology is spreading through the digital ether like a ghost from the past, yet it feels as ancient as the first revolution. As we move toward the massive March 28th mobilization, the world watches to see if the United States will reinforce its cage or break the bars entirely. The fire is burning, and the old guard is running out of water.
For the first time in this administration, the rhetoric from the top has undergone a startling transformation. Faced with irrefutable video evidence that contradicts the official ICE report regarding the protesters' death, Donald Trump has described the events as deeply tragic. This pivot suggests a presidency under immense pressure, as the national outcry reaches a volume that can no longer be ignored by the West Wing. The internal walls of the Republican Party are beginning to show visible cracks. We are seeing a historic fracture as prominent GOP members break ranks to demand the resignation of top federal law enforcement officials. This isn't just a policy dispute, it is a fight for the party's soul. As polling numbers crater, the political cost of loyalty to the current federal strategy has become too high for many to bear. All eyes are now fixed on March 28th. The No Kings movement has transformed from a localized protest into a synchronized national uprising. Historians may look back at this moment as the tipping point. The air across the country is thick with a tension reminiscent of the greatest upheavals in American history. If the current trajectory continues, the political landscape leading into 2026 will be unrecognizable. As the smoke clears from the streets, a new fire ignites within the halls of power. For the first time, the Republican Party is no longer a monolith of support for the current administration. Even the most loyal GOP members are now breaking rank, calling for the immediate dismissal of leadership within ICE and federal police agencies. This internal fracture is more than just political theater. It is a sign that the political price for the recent tragedies is becoming too high to pay. Trump faces a plummeting approval rating that threatens to derail his agenda and the party's future in the upcoming elections. The weight of a nation in mourning has forced a shift in the Oval Office. President Trump, once known for an iron-fisted rhetoric against dissent, has changed his tone. He now calls the recent federal killings very sad and is demanding a full investigation. But is this a genuine pursuit of justice or a desperate attempt to quell a national uprising? The pressure is coming from all sides: the public, the Congress, and the very agents who carry out his orders. America is witnessing a leader cornered by the consequences of his own policy, while the No Kings movement gains momentum by the hour.
All eyes are now fixed on March 28th. This date is being whispered in the streets and shouted on social media as the moment of reckoning. Organizers of the No Kings movement are planning what could be the largest coordinated protest in American history. What began as a local outcry over the death of a peaceful citizen has evolved into a national demand for a complete systemic overhaul. The historical parallels are chilling. We are seeing the same patterns of civil unrest that defined the most turbulent eras of the 20th century. The question isn't just about what happens on the 28th, but what remains of the country afterward.
The United States stands at a precipice. The attempt to suppress protest with force has only fueled a more powerful, more organized response from the people. As we look toward the 2026 horizon, the political landscape is being permanently reshaped. This crisis is no longer just about one election or one policy. It is a battle for the soul of the republic. Trump tried to project strength, but he sparked a fire that may consume his legacy. This is the new reality of a nation divided, a nation on fire, and a nation that refuses to be silenced. The uprising has only just begun.